So trying to create a narrative where he's a rapist, it's just like, bro, shut the fuck up, honestly. And that whole video, you know, just the title doesn't make any sense. I'm not a big fan of Fresh and Fit, but just the title doesn't make any sense, you know. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are reacting to a video called How Abanpreach Destroyed Fresh and Fit. Alright, so we're gonna go take a look, but right out of the bath, I would say that they haven't destroyed them, you know, they just pushed them in a other direction, where they basically became conservative instead of being more left-leaning and liberal, you know, but they didn't destroy them, you know, they just forced them to reinvent themselves pretty well. But anyways, let's go take a look.
400 videos uploaded to the platform, and an accumulation of over 2 million subscribers, Abanpreach have made a name for themselves by simply reacting to viral clips and controversial topics, whilst adding humor and giving fairly direct, opinionated takes. In the 14 years since they started their channel, they've taken shots at countless influencers and creators, ranging from red pill giants to cosplaying gangsters.
You wanna watch my clips? Watch my clips. Watch my clips. You want me to watch your clips? Watch my clips. These are the only clips I'm watching. You are?
What is it with them and self-snitching? Yeah, I'm gonna come to your house and then wave a gun and then film it and broadcast it. Then you're gonna blame the Matrix. That's what boggles the mind. Yo, the Matrix this, the Matrix that. You get deplatformed off the Matrix and then you try to go back to the Matrix and then you snitch on yourself. And then you're gonna blame the Matrix. Yo, God damn, my red pillars really be like,
that there are parts that are under embellished and there are parts that are over embellished. I think it just depends what we're talking about.
That's so interesting. I've got to know what was over embellished about slavery.
no! Oh, that's a trap.
Just because the story that he told himself with the movie of Roots isn't real does not mean the things depicted in there didn't happen. That doesn't mean that that was embellished. The reality of slavery was far darker than the Roots movie could have ever shown. That's just a fact.
And 9 times out of 10, all they gotta do is laugh hysterically.
That, by the way, was a good point by Abba. Nothing in movies you will ever see surpass what the brutality of reality is. You know, what's going on in reality is 1,000 worse than anything you're gonna see in movies, you know? So that's a valid point.
To get their point across.
To wrap that up, or you're saying to me that you're trying to have your cake and eat it too, which is a bad analogy because if it's my cake, I can eat it, right? All of it.
I think you misunderstood the analogy. Having my cake, eat it too. It's not about you can eat your cake. Everyone can eat their fucking cake and potato. The whole point is like the cake is a... No, that's so stupid.
However, anyone who watches their channel religiously knows that no one has really received the brunt of their comedic rants worse than Fresh and Fit.
You made 30 plus videos talking.
Actually, it's 44 video.
Actually, it's now up to 72. Yeah, and we're gonna keep going. Number 73 right here.
It seems like every other week, the duo has been relentlessly roasting them. Made up of red pill figures Walter Weeks and Myron Gaines, they went from strength to strength, trying to one-up their opponents at every opportunity. But with their YouTube channel demonetized due to their controversial takes and racist rhetoric, they've been handicapped against Abanpreach, whose massive channel continues to benefit from an algorithm that favors the content that they create. But how did we get here? And is there any way for an attempt at a comeback for Fresh and Fit after this humiliation that they endured? It's your boy Luesta, live from Lu Extra.
Okay, I'm not sure in which world the creator of that video, Lu Extra, is living in, but I mean, Fresh and Fit, they're balling, man. We can go take a look at their at their statistics. So the Fresh and Fit channel have 1.6 million subscribers with almost 3,000 videos. I mean, that's pretty good. I don't know what the creator of Louis Extras is talking about, an attempt to come back, but they went nowhere. That's only one of their channel, by the way, you know. They're live streaming and they are on Rumble, so I mean, here 106,000 views. That's the okay. I'm not sure how they're classifying their videos, but they don't show all the videos that come out every day. But anyway, they're still going pretty hard, man, and that's only one channel, you know. But Myron, he's building a whole other brand on the side besides Fresh and Fit. But anyway, let's continue.
And this is how Abanpreach destroyed Fresh and Fit once and for all. First, a little background on how Fresh and Fit became the center of their crosshairs in the first place. To understand how Fresh and Fit rose to prominence, it's important to recognize that their success was built by appealing to what's commonly known as the red pill audience. At its core, this space is made up of men, or alpha males as they like to call it, who believe that they're standing up for male issues and giving young men a voice that they feel has been ignored by mainstream in favor of modern feminist narratives. And like any movement, it includes a wide range of people, including those who take things too far. The phrase red pill itself originates from a 1999 film called The Matrix. In the movie, the choice represents a fork in the road, which is one option meaning that they stay comfortable inside the system as it is, while the other represents waking up to
and I show you how deep
are those men who speak out against the unfair treatment of men when it comes to dating, marriage, divorce, and child support.
So basically, in the Matrix, there's an artificial reality, a computer-generated reality, and people are being harvested for their body heat in a real world, and their minds are being used. Their minds are being occupied by this computer-generated reality. And the basic premise of the show is that their body is being used for what is important, and they just destroy.
After that, the duo drifted from the practical self-improvement content into full-blown red pill extremism, the louder the noise against them got, and it was coming from everywhere all at once.
You heard my L's, marrying a single mom, getting left out in the cold, basically in the car, never came downstairs. But today we're gonna talk about my W in terms of having 3 women.
That story, it's a legendary story on the internet. If you haven't heard it, I mean, you gotta check it out. It's how pretty much Fresh managed to fuck some bitches at a party with an NBA player. That story is so far-fetched and nobody believed it pretty much.
In one day.
Let me stop you right there. I already don't believe you. It's super hard to think that anything they say is real when they constantly make stupid fucking claims like this one.
Not to mention they've both shown themselves to be frauds time and time again.
You know, we're both a triple-digit notch count. He's in the quadruples.
There is no reality in the entirety of the fucking multiverse where this man has slept with one woman, let alone over 1,000 of them. Doctor Strange could peer into an endless multiverse and never find
man, telling men to build value through money, status, and discipline, and then use that leverage to control relationships.
I got 20 real estate properties, so I can tell motherfuckers, my net worth is over $6 million. I get money residually. I don't need to do this shit, and I don't need to sell my soul. I stand with my friends. Period. Alright?
They encouraged dominance over compromise, and justified policing women's social media, nightlife, clothing, and friendships, all while making delusional and borderline creepy remarks along the way.
Fit has advocated to go on dates with women where there's alcohol involved so that they can be loosened up.
Any date idea is gonna work, guys. It's just that the drinking one tends to have the best ROI because you're meeting her at night and it like loosens her a bit, right?
Oh, this is the rappiest take I think I've heard him say. If you're gonna go on a date, take him for a drink because it loosens her up and she loses her.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing grapist about it. It's pretty much, it's straightforward. Everybody does it, whether you want to admit it out loud or not. Everybody does that. The most common date people do is going to a bar for a drink. You know, it's not because he's saying it out loud that it's way less valuable, you know? As if he just created a new technique or a new way of sleeping with women, you know? As if like the women didn't want, if they go on a date with you, they don't want to sleep with you. That's the culture we live in. If you meet a woman on dating apps, of course she wants to sleep with you. That's her goal too, you know. So people, you know, are gonna grab onto some one-liners and try to run with a narrative when it doesn't make any sense, you know. Everybody does it. So trying to create a narrative where he's a rapist, it's just like, bro, shut the fuck up, honestly. And that whole video, you know, just the title doesn't make any sense. I'm not a big fan of Fresh and Fit, but just the title doesn't make any sense, you know. People already are really struggling to be objective when they're analyzing things, you know. And that just the title of the video, they've been destroyed. They haven't been destroyed, you know. They've been clowned a lot, but their shit is still going hard, so it doesn't make any sense.
Inhibitions. Please do not listen to people like this.
Give the ladies what they need too. You know, you have to take care of your women. We need alcohol. Everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. We need locks on the door.
And the idea that they push that good woman should be coachable, meaning willing to change and follow a man's program while any resistance is a red flag, is ridiculous considering multiple women later exposed that they allegedly weren't allowed on the podcast unless they slept with them. But more on that later, as it plays a crucial part in the story. On top of that, they claim that modern women want traditional men without being traditional.
Bro, the title of your video is How Abanpreach Destroyed Fresh and Fit, and now we are 7 minutes in and you haven't gotten to the point yet. So that's just like a clickbait basically.
Themselves, as well as warning men away from long-term relationships and pushing self-improvement as leverage to spin plates or pursue younger, more submissive women, thus creating their own ideology of female nature and feminism as a whole.
Define feminism real quick so we know that we have the same, because I don't think you have it.
I particularly cannot define that to you. The dictionary word, I can't.
Stupid.
Okay, call me that. I don't give a fuck about that. But I'm saying
Only women get the privilege of being stupid. Men can't. Stupid. Like if a guy is stupid, he starves. He doesn't make it in life. If a woman is stupid, she could find a millionaire to take care of her if she's hot enough.
Although,
you know, that point, you know, that's not true. Like only hot girls who know how to put themselves out there will find a guy who's gonna take care of her. No, but it's not as if the moment you are a female, automatically there's gonna be a guy for you who's willing to pay all your bills. That's not true.
Though there was tons of backlash, their content was undeniably a main fixture of many people's daily content consumption. Despite eventually being demonetized on YouTube and banned on Twitch, they still amassed millions of followers and over 200 million views on YouTube alone. But it seems that the backlash overhauled.
Look at the dude, he said over 200 million views when we can clearly see there are 3 million views away from 300, you know? So why are you playing it down?
Any of the positive feedback that they received, because over time, the scrutiny that they received having this kind of mindset led to repeated crash outs, most of which were driven by Myron Gaines, who prides himself on having no filter, despite many seeing his takes as wildly off base, with one of the clearest examples being how they regularly kick women off the podcast the moment that they push back.
In this show, if I'm not allowed to talk.
Get the fuck out. Goodbye.
you and your show.
Okay, nigga. Out of here.
I will get the fuck out of here. It's given you ain't get until you was 20-something years old.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
It was actually 18. All right, you gotta go, man. You gotta go. You gotta go. You're wild.
Given how painfully well content like this racks up views in viral moments, it was only a matter of time.
Why is it painful? It's entertainment. Why is it painful? Everybody's there. Everybody goes into that show for their own benefit. You know, so why are you acting as if like it's a charity going on Fresh and Fit? No, everybody is here for their own benefits. You know, so if they want to kick them out because they find them disrespectful or for entertainment value, so what? The girls are here to promote their OnlyFans. You know, so who gives a shit? Like, it's not as if they've been paid or they paid to be on the show. So why is it painfully entertaining? What are you talking about?
Before Abanpreach, a duo known for tearing apart the worst takes on the internet, entered the picture. And in contrast, Abanpreach built their platform doing the exact opposite. No shouting, no shock value, and no manufactured outrage. Instead, they reacted calmly.
I'm her mom.
So, and how come you're here? You gave her a ride?
Yes. I gave her a ride here today. I truly believe that if she chooses to try something new and I'm not aware of the company or the people that she's going to, I just want to make sure that she's safe. And that's why I brought her today, to kind of check things out for myself.
Yeah, for yourself.
Hang out
For yourself. Because you wanted some of that thing and you know.
They analyzed public events, explained the logic, and broke down arguments piece by piece so that their message could be passed. Also, they watched full clips.
Today's topic. Yes, this is another YouTuber named Kai Cenat. There's a video in particular that someone sent me. They said, yo, you should check this out. So we are going to take a look today.
Reacting to videos they didn't quite agree with, pointing out the errors in their logic, and often using creators' own words against them.
Ideally, my husband needs to be making like.
Okay. My suspicion, she's going to say 175.
250.
250?
Like 650,000.
They built their name by critiquing internet culture, viral ideologies, and YouTube personalities, always breaking down the logic rather than attacking the person, and that included the red pill space. So as their paths kept crossing online, a face-to-face was only a matter of time, and in February 2021, it finally happened. Abanpreach flew down to Miami to appear on the Fresh and Fit podcast. On paper, this should have been the perfect reset. Same room, no edits, no clips taken out of context. Just a real conversation between two sides who'd been going back and forth online. One of the main things Preach wanted to address was the fact that Myron had publicly labeled them blue-pilled, which again, is basically the opposite of red pill, demonstrating a worldview built around male dominance and hyper-traditional gender roles. Most people assumed it would be hashed out, both sides would agree to disagree, and that'd be the end of it. But to everyone's surprise,
the hyper-traditional gender roles would be more towards the red pill than the blue pill. The blue pill is pretty much the opposite of the traditional values, where women is put on the pedestal and the man does everything for her. That's not being traditional. That's the new wave feminism, who they managed to take over the mind of the whole world pretty much, where men are subservient to women. That's being a blue pill, but that's not traditional.
Preach didn't show up heated or ready to throw hands. They were simply calm, polite, and respectful. No insults, no yelling. But when Abba simply asked one question, that's when everything shifted.
So I did watch the podcast where everyone, so me and Preach, we did a video where I talked about how the red pill community was necessary, but I didn't agree with a lot of it, right?
Yes.
I know everybody got together and they said a bunch of stuff, and so I got a chance to watch it. I was like, whoa, what's going on, right? So during that live, people were like, yeah, Abba and Preach are trying to hedge, right? They're trying to appeal to the masses, but at the same time, keep the red pill kind of content, right? Specifically, you felt like we were kind of blue pilled, right?
Instead of standing by his words or at least explaining what he meant, Myron did the most cowardly thing possible. He denied remember saying it.
What show was this one?
This was on
Rollo Donovan. We were all together.
Donovan Sharp's live.
They did a video about basically the red pill, the RP basically like saying, because
we've got so many streams, bro. I'm trying to like remember which one.
Not that he was misunderstood, not that it was taken out of context. He just suddenly developed amnesia, and that's what made it so damning. Because Abba and Preach weren't trying to trap him, they weren't even pressing hard. They simply asked for accountability, and instead, they were met with pure denial.
Okay, but what makes you think that they didn't remember for real? I mean, you're just jumping to the conclusion, and I guess I don't remember what happened back then when everybody turned against Fresh and Fit. But what makes you think that he really didn't remember, And I'm not trying to defend them, but I'm just trying to be the devil advocate and try to see, like, perhaps it's true. Who knows? Maybe it's true.
I'm trying to remember. I would say, I'm trying to think, like, which video was?
It was the one.
I'm trying to remember. Cause legit, we've done so many live streams. I'm trying to remember which one this was and what I said exactly.
And that's quite hypocritical for someone who always screams at the other gender for never taking accountability.
Guys don't like it when girls say signs and crystals and all other shit. Is basically what she does is she takes accountability away from herself and she puts it on the stars and the moon.
It's always, he's gonna find me. If it happens, it happens. If he breaks up with me, he wasn't the one. And it's like, it's always like this practice of deflection and not taking accountability to actually like do things. Like there's not a concentrated effort to actually achieve the goal. Versus like, if I took that mindset and I said, oh, if I become a millionaire, you know, if it happens, it happens.
At the moment, something became clear to the audience. Fresh and Fit weren't dealing with critics. They were dealing with living receipts. And Abanpreach had already done their homework. They didn't argue, they didn't escalate, they just let the silence do the work. Because this wasn't just a debate loss for Myron, it was a full-blown credibility problem. And when you spend years confidently preaching to your audience, then suddenly can't remember a single word of it in the moment someone puts.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't see it, you know. For me, it's a super stretch. I don't see where you're coming from. Like, I kind of remember the beef between the two, but I wasn't fully into it, you know, I didn't really care. But from what Louis tries talking about now, I don't really see it, you know. You're trying to make it seem as if, like, Myron, he purposely played amnesic. But that's not a fact, you know, that's an opinion. You know, I would have, if it was 100% the fact that he wasn't accountable for what he said and he was playing dumb, I would call it out, you know. But I don't see it right now. Like everybody's just guessing what the purpose was, you know. Everybody's just guessing that he pretend forgot what he was talking about, you know. He pretend to forget that he called Abanpreach blue pill, as if it was like an insult. Oh, you're a blue pill. I'm gonna call you a blue pill, then I'm gonna deny it because it's such a big insult. No, it's not an insult. It's an opinion, and it's why would he deny it? I don't see why. Like, you know, like everybody's jumping on the conclusion that Myron tried to deny, like, calling them a blue pill as if it's an insult, as if like it's hard to own up to it. Well, what are you talking about, man? Like, I really don't see the point. You're just jumping on the hype train right now, you know, and your video doesn't make any sense, honestly. But I will say though that it's true that Myron, you know, he does have the tendency to yap a lot on the internet, you know. Behind a camera he's yapping a lot, man. And when he's he's saying some stuff that he would never say to others people's face, you know. Perhaps only women, but like he would never say the foolish thing he says behind a camera to a man, you know, who can really check him. He wouldn't do it, but he's super comfortable crashing out behind a camera. And I've criticized him for that on another video. So that I will say that's true, you know. He does have a lot of foolish things, but the whole Abanpreach versus Fresh and Fit, that's really been blown out of proportion, and most people just jump on the hype train out of nowhere, you know. So here I'm gonna attempt to explain what happened since Abanpreach started to create that hype train about clowning Fresh and Fit. Because most people are too, I'm sorry to say, but most people are too stupid to kind of understand what happened, you know. Like the video we just watched, like in the title, and he repeat many times in his video how Abanpreach, they destroyed Fresh and Fit. But in the same breath, he shows us their channel, which has nearly 2 million subscribers with 300 million views. You know, so I mean, I'm telling you guys, like, most people are so retarded. The only thing they can do is jump on the hype train. But I'm gonna tell you guys what happened since Abanpreach started clowning them on their videos. So they didn't destroy them. The only thing they did is push them away towards a new audience, you know. So let's say Abanpreach represent kind of the normie takes the internet, you know, the liberal, a little bit more left-leaning part of the internet, you know. They have a huge fan base which is black and females, you know. A lot of females and black people watch their videos, so, and that demographic leans a little bit more towards the left, you know, and are a little bit more liberal than, let's say, typical white people. They are a little bit more conservative, you know, especially nowadays. So this is what happened with Myron in particular, because Fresh, he's irrelevant, you know. He's like a useless sidekick, basically. But here's what happened with Myron. He just rebranded himself into a conservative talk show, basically, you know. So he has his Myron Gaines X, and you know, he still go on his Fresh and Fit podcast, but his new brand and his new audience is more conservative people, especially white conservative. That's what happened, you know, and that's pretty much what I think Abanpreach managed to create, you know, because it's kind of an organic shift for Myron to shift towards that direction. Because as I said, let's say, for example, Myron, he used to like his main brand was to shit on women, all right? So when Abanpreach started to make videos clowning Fresh and Fit, of course the women gonna start to they're gonna clap, you know, they're gonna be happy about it. But then there's the black demographic of Abanpreach who went to the Fresh and Fit side and started clowning them, you know. So of course it's gonna piss off Myron, and that's when he started to become racist towards black people, you know. It was kind of a natural shift, because all the demographic of Abanpreach, which is, as I said, black and females, they kind of gathered together to attack Myron. So naturally his shift is gonna be more right leaning, you know. So this is what happened. Like, they haven't been destroyed. They managed to rebrand themselves, especially Myron. He managed to rebrand himself as a conservative reaction, as a conservative show, basically, you know, with his Myron Gaines X and Fresh and Fit. It's kind of in the ballpark of the manosphere, you know, the red pill. I don't know, probably most people that are into that kind of content are more conservative too, you know. So that's the only thing that Abanpreach managed to do, is create a new audience for them, you know. And they just managed to, and it's work. Honestly, what Myron did, like, it's kind of genius, you know. It's working super well for him, and he didn't really have a choice. So everybody were clowning them, trying to destroy them, and people keeps repeating that Fresh and Fit are done, you know, they're never gonna come back or whatever. But the main thing people do to be relevant is to talk about Fresh and Fit, you know. I talk about Myron especially. That's what people do to get views. So if he was really destroyed or done, why people are keep making videos about him, you know? So Myron, he's pretty much like the big cash cow on YouTube right now. That's why everybody keeps talking about him. But as I said, like, it's pretty genius what Myron did to go like full on the conservative side, you know. And it worked for him because he's talented, you know. He's a talented orator, he's a talented researcher, and he has a pretty good logic, you know. He doesn't have the best of logic, but like, it's pretty up there, you know. So as much as Abanpreach and all the normies, kind of pussified, left-leaning like crowd, like the creator of that video, Lou Extra, as much as they're trying to make Myron irrelevant, it didn't work, you know. And it doesn't work because he's pretty talented, and all they managed to do is rebrand him, you know. So that's what happened to Myron and Fresh and Fit. Fresh, as I said, he's irrelevant, but that's the story. So every time people are gonna say, oh, Fresh and Fit have been destroyed, you know, like whatever, like people are just jumping on a hype train without looking at the facts objectively. And you really gotta be super delusional to have the stats in front of your face. You have the stats in front of your face, and in the same breath you say that they are destroyed. Like in one breath you say they have 2 million subscribers almost, and 300 million views, and on the same breath you said that they are destroyed, and like their numbers are keep growing. So it's, you really gotta be delusional and just jump on the hype train and just talk shit, you know, out of your ass, basically, you know. And I'm not saying this because I want to defend them. Like, I'm trying to be objective, and that's the truth. You know, I've made the videos about Myron, especially like criticizing him, you know, because he's kind of crazy in the head. But I mean, the facts are the facts anyways. Peace out.